We're rolling.
Okay, this is an interview at the Elderwood Senior Center, Hamburg, New York, the 20th of April 2005, approximately 10:30 a.m. Interviewers are Wayne Clark and Mike Russert. Could you give me your full name, date of birth, and place of birth, please? Your full name, date of birth, and place of birth, please.
Donald F. Kochersberger. That's Kochersberger.
Okay. Now, where were you born?
I was born in Sloan, New York, which is just a suburb of Buffalo, New York, on the east side.
Yeah. And what year were you born?
I was born 1920.
Okay.
May 2nd, 1920.
What was your educational background prior to entering service?
Okay. I attended school 43, which is the local school, from grade 1 through 8. Then I went to Buffalo Technical High School, 4 years, and graduated from there. Then I spent 2 years. I couldn't find a job after I got out of tech. That was, times were not that good. And so I went to Bryant and Stratton Business College in Buffalo and spent 2 years there. And from there I entered the employ of Union Carbide Company out in Tonawanda.
Okay. Do you remember where you were and how you heard about Pearl Harbor and your reaction?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I like to tell that story. It was on a Sunday afternoon on December 7th, 1941. I was on I went for a ride with my older brother and his wife, and I had a lady with me, a lady friend, and we were at Niagara Falls, and we were driving along the drive along the gorge, and all of a sudden the telephone or the radio bust out with the news, "We have been attacked, Pearl Harbor, the president has declared an emergency," and that was that Sunday afternoon on December 7th, 1940.
How did you feel when you heard of this news?
Well, I felt good, really, because I immediately knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to join the Air Force. And I came home, talked it over with my mother and father and my brothers, and I did just that. I went down to the post office the next day and enlisted in the Air Force.
Now, why did you select the Air Force?
Because I like to fly, and I thought of flying as my way of. I thought I was going to become a hot pilot, and that was going to be my job. Turned out it wasn't so.
Okay, where did you go for your basic training?
My basic training was at Fort Niagara, New York, and from there I went to oh boy. You know, if my life depended on it now. My memory is slipping a little bit, and gee, I don't know how you're going to make out being 100 years old. But I took my basic training, and from there, seeing as how I was in the Air Force, oh, this is where
What type of training did you go for?
pilot,
Okay.
pilot training.
Was it down south someplace?
And, oh yeah, it was in Alabama.
Okay.
I was an aviation cadet,
Okay.
and the initial training place was in Montgomery, Alabama. That was it's like the west point of the air. What? Come on, you'll have to help me out.
What,
Or-
the camp that was there?
Pardon?
The camp that was there? Or?
Yeah.
It wasn't Camp Rucker, was it?
No.
I'm not sure either.
Was it?
Well, how long were you there?
Well, I was there for about, I think about 12 weeks, at least 12 weeks, I'm not really sure. And from there, because I was in for pilot training, I was sent to an airfield in Florida. God, these names.
Oh, that's
Well, that's
okay. Really.
Now, what type of airplane did you train in?
A trainer. It was a
Was it a biplane with two wings?
a biplane. Yeah,
Was it a Stearman?
Stearman.
Okay.
Stearman PT. That's it.
PT-17.
No, PT.
Right,
Primary trainer.
right.
Oh, is that what you said? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
And how many hours did you get?
Well, that was really the beginning and the end of my career as a pilot.
Okay.
Because after 9 hours of training, pilot training, I was washed out. I could not fly.
Did you get to solo at all or no?
Pardon?
Did you get to solo?
No, I did not.
Okay.
That was the point where I washed out. And what the instructor, I remember him telling me that he thought that being left-handed was the reason that I couldn't make out in a Stearman, because most of the controls favored the right side,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm left-handed, and I was having trouble with the controls, although there weren't that many. But in 9 hours, my career was over.
And where did you go from there?
And from there, I was sent up to a camp in Tennessee. It was a reclassification camp, and I was reclassified. I'm back in the Army now, and I was reclassified because of my training at Bryant and Stratton. I was reclassified as a clerical
Uh-huh.
Army man, and I stayed at this camp probably, I don't remember exactly, but I think it must have been about a couple of months. And from there I was sent to California. And wait, back up a little bit. After I washed out as an Army as a pilot, I wasn't downgraded to a private in the Army at that point. Because I had indicated that I wanted to fly, I was transferred to an airfield in California, and I was to study being a bombardier.
Mm-hmm.
There were three classes of aviation in the Air Force. That was pilot, bombardier, and navigator.
Mm-hmm.
And I seemed to be qualified because I didn't make pilot, I thought I'd make a good bombardier. Well, I didn't. I got sick. And I had, they discovered I had an ulcer, and I was only at the bombardier school for, I think, about a month or a month and a half, and that was when they decided that because of my physical condition, it was better that I did something else in the Army than try to fly.
Okay.
And so I was reclassified, and now I'm back. I'm a private, and I was classified as I don't remember the grade. It was to work on clerical work.
Mm-hmm.
So from that base in California, I was sent to another base in California, Santa Ana, the Santa Ana Air Force Base. And that's where I spent just about the rest of my career in the Army.
Were you like a company clerk? You took care of the records?
That's exactly what I was doing. Yeah, I was the company clerk. And I wound up being promoted to a sergeant. And in the event of absentees with the other men, including the officer, I was doing most of the office work, which involved enlistments and discharges and general office Army work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I spent 2 years, and that was my career in the Army. Not very eventful.
Now, do you remember what was the fort where you were at in California? What was that?
Santa Ana.
Santa Ana.
Santa Ana. You've heard of the Santa Ana winds?
Uh-huh.
Well, that's the Santa Ana Air Force Base.
Now, in this forum, you said one of your greatest experiences, though, happened while you were out there with a P-38.
Now, how do you know about that?
You wrote it down. Someone wrote it down on your form here.
Is that right?
Yes. Could you tell us about
yeah,
that?
I was at Santa Ana, and right across the road was a P-38 base.
Mm-hmm.
And when I wasn't too busy, I was wandering around all the time out there. So I wandered over to the Air Force Base one day, and here a pilot was out there shining up his P-38, and I stood there a while talking to him, and I said, any chance for a ride in this thing? He said, sure is. Well, a P-38 is not really a two-seater, but there's room behind the pilot where you could sit.
Mm-hmm.
A little tight, but I managed to get in there, and we took off, and he gave me a tour of that part of California. Matter of fact, we flew over Pasadena, around the Rose Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Literally flew around the Rose Bowl in a P-38. Well, that was quite a thrill for me, because I love flying, but I just was unable to do it, so that was the extent of it.
Now, did you wear a parachute?
No.
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 Huh.
No.
Did he?
He didn't either.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no. No. I trusted him and he trusted me.
So that must have been a pretty wild ride, because that was a very fast airplane.
Oh, it was. Well, you know what a P-38 looked like.
Yeah.
It was two propellers.
Yeah.
Two propellers. That's a funny thing to even think about it, because those are all propeller-driven planes.
Mm-hmm.
There was no jets, so to speak, that
Right.
anybody was flying there. It was all propeller-driven, and that was a two-engine plane. But that's, I don't remember telling anybody.
Yeah, it was written down here on this form that you filled out.
Well, I'll be darned.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Anything else that you can recall that was interesting or exciting for you?
Did you get to see any USO shows? Did you see any USO shows?
Oh, I went to USO shows as often as I could. Absolutely. And I became quite associated with the church people in Santa Ana. I don't remember it was a Protestant church, and I became a kind of a part-time church member. One of the fellows in the office where I worked, he lived, or his girlfriend lived in Santa Ana, and he took me to church one day, and they were having a play. And I was given a part in the play, because that's another thing I liked to do at that time, was a little play acting. And the name of the play was No Room at the Inn. You remember that story, for sure.
Yeah.
And I had many good times when I was there, because the fellow that I was with, and he's sergeant also, Cleland Green, his girlfriend's parents lived in Santa Ana. And every Sunday, and I was invited, every Sunday we went over to his future parents-in-law for dinner. And so I had many enjoyable time off with my friend the sergeant.
Did you ever stay in contact with him after you left the service?
Pardon?
Did you ever stay in contact with him after you left the service?
No. Well, except the first few years, a postcard, Christmas card. But no, I regretted that, really. But I didn't try to change it by going out there again to visit him or anything like that. No. No, I lost touch with him.
Yeah. When did you leave the service? When were you discharged?
1943.
Okay.
I was only in the service for 2 years.
Okay. Did you ever make use of the GI Bill?
No. Just before I went into the service, I had graduated from Bryant Stratton. So I guess I'd have to say that I could see no reason for me to continue anything there, and I did not take advantage of it, no.
How about the 5220 Club?
What is that?
That was $20 a week for 52 weeks. It was like an unemployment insurance after you left service.
Never heard of it.
Oh, okay.
You didn't buy a house with the GI Bill?
No, no.
Okay.
Now, when I graduated from Bryant Stratton, they had their own placement service, for graduates, and I went to work for Union Carbide out in Tonawanda, and I did stenographic work out there. I wound up a private secretary, a lot of typing and that type of work. But I didn't have to go through any unemployment period of any length, because I went right from school right to work for Union Carbide.
Did you go right back to work there when you came back from service?
Say it again?
When you came back from service,
Yeah.
did you go back to work at Union Carbide?
Yes, I did, yeah. I went right back there.
Okay. Did you ever join any veterans organizations?
Investment?
Veterans, like American
Oh, oh.
Legion or
Yeah,
VFW?
right now, I'm a 60-year member of the American Legion.
Wow,
Oh.
okay.
I'm a member of the oldest American Legion post in Erie County. Past commander 3 times.
Oh, wow, okay. How do you think your time in the service changed or had an effect on your life? Do you think it did?
Well, that's kind of a tough question. I never lost the desire to want to fly, even after I was, after I was out of the service completely and back working. I used to fly occasionally as a passenger, and I think what the Army taught me was it's not always a good idea to reach too high, because it's not liable to work out for you, and it certainly was that case with me. I thought I was going to be the world's hottest pilot, and I wasn't.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, well, thank you very much.
That's not